All right, hey people, it is time for another video with me and you. And this is in the news and update category because obviously JP has already gotten its news. We have a friendly R-Man coming to the game, wherever he is, there he is. And obviously JP, kind of an interesting spot right now. And I see that Global is getting a new exclusive unit, and it is not Addison Rae yet. I'm sure that she's right around the corner, but let's talk about a character that I think is going to matter way more. Hippity Hoppity Resnick the Hoppy. And I didn't think too much about that before I said it, and I'm not thinking about too much about what I said after I've said it. All right, so She Who Leaps Forward, an Earth Elemental 90 cost character. Now, more than likely, I actually had to reboot my computer, so I don't have it up. I do believe she's a limited, correct? Yes, it looks like she is limited. Her vision card is also limited. So, you know, this is an important time for Globalers. I alluded this in my previous video, which if you didn't check it out, you should go check it out, because so far a lot of people have thought very positively about it, and I'm really happy to hear that. But my mid-monther was really taking an in-depth look at what was going on JP, and now that we've got this new Earth Elemental character, is she going to be worth it? Because there's a lot of stuff coming up in the future. 90 cost VCs that are going to power up certain elements, certain characters as well as a ton of just limited stuff, 100 cost stuff. And it really is questionable whether or not this is going to be worth your resources, because, you know, if this character gets too out of hand, well, they're just going to power up some other character along the way. Probably Edward, because she is a Earth Elemental character. So it really is a tense time to jump in. All right, I'm gonna try and not make too many rabbit jokes here, but it's a little bit difficult. So, Jumping Juggler, a juggler type character. We are going to get some details about what kind of character this is just from all the stuff that's been revealed today. Strider as well as Thief. Thief is always nice to see. It is a speed booster. It's potentially a luck booster. Strider is a much newer job with a better overall moveset that can definitely be a good subpart. And yeah, her main job, Jumping Juggler, is a slash-based job, which I think is really important to remember going forward. I mean, that's a good synergy across the board here. Thief, she potentially has the opportunity to steal time, if not charm. Strider just gives her a bunch of different slashing attacks. And as for her main job, if we are to check out what details we have, first off, looks, as we can see here, all slashing based attacks and Earth Elemental damage. Limit Burst, Lunar Devastation, lowers target's unit attack resistance for 3 turns, deals large damage, significantly lowering healing power. So this is interesting, and I do want to put a pin in that to come back and talk about it for a second. Deals a 3 hit damage to the target and lowers healing power for 3 turns. And last but not least, Just Keep Hoppin' will survive a fatal damage to self 1 time. Additional effect raises slash attack resistance piercing rate while courage is in effect. Now, that's also another thing we need to talk about going forward, because all of these things look really good on paper, and actually I'm quite happy about it. But the big thing that I'm noting from the details in this kit is just the fact that she really seems to focus on healing power reduction more. And honestly, there's only 2 characters on more recent JP that I can think are or at least 2 characters in the game that feel like this is a direct response to. First of which is the most recent global unit, and last but not least would be Warrior of Light that will be coming in the future and getting a pretty big power boost. Here's the thing, Warrior of Light has kind of dropped off on JP, not completely, but enough so that I'm not really concerned about him. While he looked really impressive at first, and maybe he'll be more of a problem on global than he is on JP, he just didn't. Like, some of the initial battles looked particularly really good for him, and I don't know. It's since then I haven't really been wombo comboed by him, and I've seen him lose a fair number of matches, especially when he doesn't have Yuna behind him to also give healing. But I mean, there isn't really as much application for this as you might think, and definitely it feels maybe a little bit less so in Earth. Again, I want to come back to that. As for her courage effect, while I am glad to see that, as any major damage dealer kind of needs this to be competitive right now, it is potentially pretty easily countered. A lot of different characters on JP, especially recently, have come with some kind of knocking out courage effect. So while this is a good tempo move for her, and I mean it's courage plus an extra bonus, just remember that that sometimes these things are a little bit overvaluated because it looks good on paper, but then you remember that there are units that can just quite outright cancel this. So come back to the unit in a second. Let's talk about the vision card, because the vision card is a 70 cost, a limited vision card. So again, it's asking you to potentially put up a good number of resources to get the card and finish the card, especially because, again, Lapis is going to be at a premium in the near future. Taking a look at the activation requirements, Spear, Dagger, Mace are the main equipable jobs. Now, looking at the effects, critical hit rate up, slash attack resistant piercing rate up, and spirit up. As for bestowed effects, attack up and accuracy up, with a limited bestowed effect for her and more, which honestly, I guess for a job-based vision card that works better, but I don't know how relevant she is on global, so I'm not going to comment too much on more. Luck up and area attack resistance up. All right, so let's take a look at this as a Earth vision card, because that's definitely one of the main places where this vision card would be useful and probably wanted, because it lines up incredibly nice with a very, very obvious team, right? Spear would be Oberyn, Mace would be Queen Macherie, and last but not least, Dagger is our new character. And that's fine. I actually think that that's pretty good overall for the Earth element, mostly because the critical hit rate up is nice across all characters, regardless of damage type. The slash attack resistance up on this vision card is mediocre at best, I feel like, because it's just on dagger characters. For the Earth element, I mean, most characters can't use this. Most characters aren't really going to get anything out of this, especially with the other two damage types, so that makes me less excited. Unlocking the maximum level, Spirit Up, is a plenty fine bonus for anybody. So 2 out of 3, do remember that. As for the attack up and accuracy up, that's mostly okay across any of the characters. I mean, you can throw this on multiple different characters, but you know, this is a limited time vision card. So are we going to be getting any other bonuses? Well, I think the really big question here is to remember like the Mace job, because I feel like Mace is going to be one of the more important ones. On JP, there doesn't exist a full dagger team that is really good. You have interspatial, daggers between different elements. Like you have still Locke potentially in light. You have Lizzle in wind, and you have I'm trying to just think. There's like a few different characters across different elements that can potentially use this. So like really, I think the one here is good support with Mace. And that is either Mathematician, which... No, I'm not in water. Kotodama user, which... light? Maybe. I mean, maybe with Sakura. No, wait, never mind. That's her sub job. Never mind. Silver Wolf Princess would be fire. Crystal Church Founder would be wind, and Queen of Determination, which is earth. So just based on Mace, like jobs, there's also Cleric too, but Cleric isn't really important. So just taking a look at Mace jobs is where I would want this for the support and everything. it's kind of funny because this is revealed for an Earth Elemental character, and I feel like it actually has a high probability of ending up being a wind job. More, just a better overall wind job, because like Lizzle is a 100 cost wind elemental character in the future that has healing power, but also is just a very strong character in combination with multiple different characters, which is really, really good. It also spaces out the healing, so like Bunny Girl is just not maybe potentially as effective. If you just talk about what other wind characters, I mean, mace-wise, it's Sadali, right? Spear-wise, it could be the winter version of Luartha, and dagger, it could be Lizzle. It's funny because this is obviously at first glance, like it's a really good Earth Elemental Vision card, but I'm taking a look at this and being like, slap this bad baby on wind, and wind doesn't really lose that much either. I mean, it feels as equally effective in wind as it does in earth, and since wind is the counter element, boy does that make me just kind of iffy about this. Even more the merrier is on this vision card. It depends on the final numbers, of course, to whether or not this is worth going for. If it's a high statted VC with good numbers, I can't see people potentially losing on this, provided that, you know, the pity is not something, they haven't upped the pity or something stupid like that. But, I mean, it feels equally effective in two specific elements right now that come to my mind, which is earth and wind. And if that's the case, it's hilarious that wind is probably still going to mop the floor with it, with earth. And that kind of brings me back to talking about this character. Now, I don't like poo-pooing on global characters, and especially global exclusives, because a lot of the times they are overstated to be more appealing to globalers to go in the future. However, that being said, Earth is not particularly a strong slash like element. It does have some good slash element, and it will get a very strong slash in the future. If we just go over to Earth for a second here and take a look, its damage type is pretty varied. You do have Moraga, you do have Noctis, although Noctis is limited. You do have Ketone, but Earth is pretty varied in terms of its damage types. So in terms of synergy, even into the future, her VC does not synergize with Bradley from the FMA collaboration. And all of this is concerns that I am putting out there for people to think about before they go for this character. You know, Bradley does seem like a natural fit, as they both want slash attack, but clearly her vision card will not support him, so you're kind of just falling back on Earth VCs anyway. I don't know, like, honestly, I can't really recommend the VC yet without it being incredibly overstated, because right now it doesn't feel like it's going to bring that much power to the earth element. Like, the Noctis vision card is still way more important for the earth element than this VC is. And into the future, it doesn't synergize particularly well with earth elemental characters, which is funny because into the future, that new VC does synergize quite well with wind elemental characters, which will be absolutely murdering this unit, regardless of what characters. While Bradley is definitely strong, he doesn't bring enough to remotely be competitive against wind, the best element in the game. And so, honestly, I look at this character from a JP perspective, in the sense that she feels really, really like maybe the last global exclusive unit, or global first unit, or, you know, whatever kind of thing, man. She feels way more like she's commenting on that kind of thing than she is specifically, not Shadow Link, sorry. No, not Esther. I'm just gonna look it up. Sylvie. I got there eventually. Someone out there is like already typed it, but yeah, it feels maybe more like a comment against Sylvie, even into the future with JP characters. I don't know how good this character will exactly be. So, pending stats, and I will take another look at her once stats come out, I feel that this is a kind of meh unit. I mean, wind people are just going to be eating good for a while now on hair of all thing. Like, yeah, as a JP player, if she came out today on JP, would I get her and her VC? The VC, maybe, but only if I was, because I have Lizzle already on my wind element, and that might be enough of a reason to potentially get some value out of that VC. But I don't have the other two characters, so I would say no on the VC. And as a JP player for this character, I mean, I'm sick of 100 cost characters, you guys. So I would not, I would think positively in that aspect. But on JP right now, absolutely not. Just would not get this character. But again, we're missing a little bit of the full picture, so we'll take another look later. But let me know in the comments below, are you looking forward to Miss Hippity Hoppity? Because I think we don't really have a 24 karat gold character here as of yet. We might just have a hop and a skip to wait until something better, which is probably Addison Rae. Let's be honest, Addison Rae is probably going to be the most powerful character the game has ever seen. Sarcasm.